Samuel. If you love me, go and buy sardine and eba now. The baby is angry.
Blessing, why does the house smell like this?
Blessing, there is a cockroach in the kitchen. We could get sick.
The baby does not mind. They are just little visitors from nature. I am hungry again. The baby wants fufu and sardines.
Not again. I can't take this smell anymore.
If you saw my wife Blessing 3 years ago, you would have thought she was an angel sent directly from heaven with a bottle of perfume in her hand. In the whole of Lekki, there was nobody as polished as her. She was the kind of woman who would not even enter a car if there was a single speck of dust on the leather seat. I remember when I was still wooing her, I spent a fortune on car detailing every single week just so I could be worthy of picking her up. We got married in a ceremony that people still talk about in Lagos. Everything was white, pristine, and smelling of fresh lilies. Our home was our pride. We moved into a beautiful 3-bedroom duplex, and Blessing decorated it with the kind of white furniture that makes you want to wash your hands before you even think of sitting down. But they say life has a way of humbling you when you least expect it. For us, that humbling came in the form of a positive pregnancy test. When Blessing first told me she was pregnant, I was the happiest man alive. I carried her and spun her around our spotless living room. I promised her the world. Anything you want, Blessing, just ask, I told her. I didn't know those words would come back to haunt me. It started slowly in the first month. Blessing, the woman who used to spend 2 hours in the bathtub every morning, suddenly started skipping her morning showers. I didn't think much of it. I figured she was just tired. Morning sickness is real, and I wanted to be the supportive husband. "Samuel, honey," she said to me one Tuesday morning, her voice sounding heavy, "the smell of that expensive soap you bought me, it's making my stomach turn. I can't stand it." I nodded quickly. "No problem, baby. I'll go to the supermarket and get the unscented ones. Anything for the mother of my child." But the unscented soap didn't help. By the second month, the woman who used to smell like a garden of roses started smelling like someone who had been jogging in the Lagos sun and refused to wash. And it wasn't just her body. The house, our sanctuary, began to change. Blessing stopped allowing our housegirl, Peace, to enter the bedroom. She claimed Peace's natural scent was giving her migraines. "I will clean it myself, Samuel," she promised, but she didn't. Within weeks, the white rugs in our bedroom, the ones she insisted we buy from Turkey, started to develop mysterious brown spots. At first, I thought she spilled coffee, but when I got closer, the smell hit me. It was a mixture of old food and sweat. Blessing had started eating in bed. Now, this wasn't the breakfast in bed kind of vibe. No, this was hiding half-eaten pieces of chicken under the pillow kind of behavior. I remember coming home from the office one evening, exhausted from the Lagos traffic. As I stepped into the living room, I didn't smell the usual lavender candles. Instead, I smelled something pungent, something like rotten fish and vinegar. I walked into the kitchen and saw Blessing sitting on the floor, the cold marble floor, with a large bowl in her lap. "Welcome home, Samuel," she said, not even looking up. She was busy mixing something. I stared at the bowl. "Blessing, what are you eating?" She looked at me then, and I almost gasped. Her hair, which was always in neat braids or a high-quality wig, was matted and oily. She was wearing the same silk nightie she had been wearing for 3 days. There were stains down the front of it. "I have a craving," she said, her eyes wide and almost defensive. "I need boiled eggs, sardines, and I'm dipping them in custard, but the custard has to be cold, very cold." The smell of the sardines mixed with the eggs was enough to make a grown man faint. I felt my stomach flip. "In the kitchen, Blessing? Why are you on the floor? And why is the trash can overflowing? I told you I can call a professional cleaning service if you don't want peace in here."
The following weeks felt less like a marriage and more like a long-term endurance test. By the time Blessing entered her second trimester, the smelly sanctuary had become a full-blown biohazard. I tried everything. I tried pleading, I tried bribing her with jewelry, and I even tried to clean up behind her while she slept. But Blessing had developed a sixth sense for cleanliness. The moment she heard the crinkle of a trash bag or the spray of a disinfectant, she would start wailing as if I were attacking her. "Samuel, you're trying to kill our child with these chemicals," she would scream, clutching her belly. "The scent of bleach is toxic. Do you want me to faint?" I had to stop using cologne. I had to stop using scented deodorant. I was going to my high-level corporate meetings in Victoria Island, smelling like plain water and desperation. One afternoon, my assistant, a very polite girl named Success, walked into my office to drop some files. She paused mid-step, her nose wrinkling just slightly. "Sir, is everything okay? There's a very interesting smell clinging to your jacket," she said, trying to be professional. I felt the heat climb up my neck. I knew exactly what it was. It was the lingering aroma of the delicacy Blessing had prepared that morning, fermented locust beans mixed with sardines and eaten with cold day-old pap. She had insisted on eating it while sitting right next to my wardrobe. "It's just a new, organic cologne, Success. Thank you," I muttered, burying my face in the files. I couldn't tell her that my wife, the once celebrated fashionista of Lekki, was currently living like a squatter in our multi-million naira home. Things reached a breaking point on a Tuesday. I came home to find that the air conditioning had been turned off. In the Lagos heat, the house felt like a furnace. The smell, which was now a thick physical presence of rotting food, unwashed laundry and sweat, was trapped and intensified by the humidity. I found Blessing in the living room, sitting in the middle of a pile of cushions. The white cushions were now gray and smeared with what looked like palm oil. "Blessing, why is the AC off? It's nearly 40 degrees outside," I gasped, peeling my sweat-soaked shirt from my skin. "The baby said it's too cold," she replied casually. She was busy peeling oranges and throwing the peels directly onto the floor. "And Samuel, we need to talk. I'm hungry. I need you to go to the market in Oyingbo. I don't want the supermarket meat. I want the one that is being smoked over wood fire. And I need you to get me some of that local black soap, but don't buy the one in the pack. Buy the one wrapped in leaves." "Oyingbo? In this traffic?" I looked at her, truly looking at her. She hadn't washed her hair in weeks. It was matted into a single oily lump at the back of her head. There was a crust of dried food at the corner of her mouth. "Blessing, look at this place. Look at you. Guests are calling me every day asking to visit, and I have to keep lying. My parents want to come for the weekend. What am I supposed to tell them? That my wife has turned our home into a refuse dump because of cravings?"
Blessing stood up, her belly protruding proudly under her stained wrapper. "So that's it? You're ashamed of me? Because I'm sacrificing my body to grow your legacy? Samuel, I am carrying a human being. If the house is dirty, it's because I don't have the energy. If I smell, it's because my body is changing. You are a selfish man." "I am not selfish," I roared. "I offered to pay for a deep cleaning crew. I offered to bring peace back. You refused. You said their auras were bad for the baby. Blessing, there are maggots in the kitchen bin. Maggots in Lekki Phase 1. She didn't even blink at the mention of maggots. Instead, she sat back down and started crying, that low, manipulative sob that always made me feel like the villain. "You don't love me. You only loved the version of me that wore makeup and high heels. Now that I'm raw and real, you can't handle it." I walked out. I couldn't take it. I drove to a nearby hotel just to sit in a lobby that smelled like lemon and floor wax. I sat there for 3 hours, just breathing in the clean air. I started to wonder if this was a psychological issue. I had heard of pica, where pregnant women crave non-food items, but was there a condition where pregnancy turned you into a person who hated hygiene? Or was Blessing just using the pregnancy as an excuse to let go of the extreme pressure she had always put on herself to be perfect? I decided to try a different tactic. I called her sister, Mercy. Mercy was the only person Blessing truly respected. "Mercy, please," I whispered into the phone. "You need to come over. Don't tell her I called you. Just pretend you're passing by. The house it's bad, Mercy. I'm worried about the baby's health. I'm worried about my own health." Mercy arrived the next morning. I stayed at work, waiting anxiously for the phone call. I expected Mercy to call me screaming about the state of the house. Instead, I got a call 2 hours later. "Samuel," Mercy said, her voice trembling, "I'm at your house, or at least I think it's your house. I had to cover my nose with a scarf just to walk into the parlor. What is happening? I told you, she won't let me clean." "It's worse than you described," Mercy whispered. "She's in the kitchen right now, eating raw flour mixed with honey and... Is that charcoal? She's eating charcoal, Samuel. And she told me that if I try to touch a broom, she will strip naked and run into the street to tell the neighbors you're abusing you." My heart sank. My wife was holding our reputation hostage. She knew how much I valued my standing in the community. She knew that in our circle, scandal was worse than death. She was using the crazy pregnant woman card to its full potential. "What do I do, Mercy?" "I don't know, but you need to come home now. Your mother just called me. She's on her way from the airport. She decided to surprise you both. She says she wants to spend the last few months of the pregnancy with her favorite daughter-in-law." I nearly dropped the phone. My mother? Mrs. Gladys Okoro? The woman who used to white-glove test the top of the door frames when we were kids? The woman who believed that cleanliness is next to godliness was the 11th commandment. If she walked into that house and saw her son living in a pigsty, she wouldn't just be angry, she would probably have a stroke. I rushed out of the office, driving like a madman through the Lagos midday traffic. My mind was racing. If my mother saw the smelly sanctuary, it wouldn't just be a family scandal, it would be the end of my marriage. My mother was not the type to keep quiet. She would tell every auntie from Lagos to Enugu that Blessing had lost her senses. As I pulled into my driveway, I saw my mother's taxi parked outside. She was already standing at the front door, her suitcases lined up behind her. She was wearing a bright yellow lace outfit, looking every bit the sophisticated matriarch. She was pressing the doorbell impatiently. "Mama, wait!" I yelled, jumping out of the car. But it was too late. The door opened. Blessing stood there, holding a half-eaten corn on the cob, wearing a shirt with a giant grease stain on the chest. The wave of hot, foul air that escaped the house was so strong that even from the driveway I saw my mother recoil. She took 2 steps back, her hand flying to her chest. "Jehovah!" my mother gasped, her eyes wide with horror as she looked at Blessing, then peered past her into the darkened, cluttered hallway. "Samuel, is there a dead body in this house? What is this smell?" I reached the porch, breathless. Blessing just stood there, completely unbothered, taking a loud bite of her corn. "Welcome, Mama. Come in. The baby has been expecting you. Ignore Samuel. He's been complaining like a small boy. Don't mind the mess. The baby prefers it this way." My mother looked at me, then back at Blessing. Her face went from shock to a terrifying stony mask of disapproval. "The baby prefers maggots and stench? Samuel, come here, right now." The confrontation I had been avoiding for months was finally...
My mother didn't even wait for me to answer. She marched into that house like a general entering a battlefield. But within 3 steps, she stopped dead in her tracks. The smelly sanctuary had claimed another victim. She pulled out a white lace handkerchief and pressed it firmly against her nose, her eyes watering from the fumes of old sardine oil and unwashed upholstery. "Samuel," she muffled through the cloth, her voice trembling with a mixture of rage and disbelief. "Is this how you live? You, the son of Chief Okoro, you are living inside a dustbin in Lekki?" Blessing didn't even have the grace to look ashamed. She just waddled over to the sofa, the one that used to be cream-colored but was now a map of food stains, and sat down heavily. She picked up a jar of peanut butter and started dipping pieces of dried stockfish into it. "Mama, don't mind Samuel," Blessing said, her mouth full. "He is too fastidious. The doctor said I should avoid stress, and cleaning is stress. The baby wants me to be one with my environment. Why are you people making it a big deal? It's just a little bit of dust." "A little bit of dust," my mother screamed, finally dropping the handkerchief. "Blessing, there is a mushroom growing out of your carpet. I can see it from here. And the smell, if I stay here for 1 hour, I will develop a respiratory infection. This is not pregnancy, this is madness." My mother turned to me, her eyes flashing. "And you, the man of the house, you let your wife turn into a scavenger? You let your home become a breeding ground for diseases? Where is your pride?" "Mama, I tried," I cried out, finally letting all my frustration pour out. "I offered cleaners. I offered to do it myself, but she starts screaming that I'm trying to kill the baby with chemicals. She says the sound of the broom gives her palpitations. I've been sleeping in the guest room with the window open just to survive." My mother looked at Blessing, who was now licking the peanut butter off her fingers with a defiant look on her face. My mother has been a nurse for 30 years. She wasn't buying the pregnancy excuse anymore. "Blessing," my mother said, her voice dropping to a dangerously low, calm tone. "I have birthed 4 children. I have helped deliver hundreds of babies. Not one of them, not even the most difficult pregnancy, commanded their mother to live in filth. This is not the baby talking. This is you being lazy and manipulative. You are using this child as a shield to live like a pig, and I will not allow it." Blessing's face twisted. She prepared to launch into her usual routine of tears and accusations. "How can you say that? You are a woman. You should understand this struggle. Samuel, tell her how much I've been suffering." But for the first time in months, I didn't defend her. I stood behind my mother. "No, Blessing, Mama is right. I've been walking on eggshells because I was afraid to upset you. But look at us. Our friends can't visit. Our house is rotting. I'm ashamed to even take off my jacket at work because I'm afraid the smell of this house has seeped into my skin. This isn't about the baby anymore. This is about you." Blessing's eyes went wide. She realized her power was slipping. She tried one last desperate move. She stood up and pointed at the door. "If you don't like it, both of you can leave. This is my house. I am the one carrying the heir to this family. If I want to eat on the floor and sleep in the dirt, I will." My mother laughed. It was a cold, dry laugh. "Your house? My son paid for this house. And as for the baby, that child is my grandchild. I will not let a child be born into a sewer. Samuel, go to the car, get my small bag, the one with the green stripe." I did as I was told, confused. When I brought the bag back, my mother pulled out a bottle of industrial-strength disinfectant and a pair of thick rubber gloves. She looked like she was going to war. "Blessing," Mama said, "you have 2 choices. Either you go upstairs, enter that bathroom and scrub yourself until you smell like a human being again, or I will call your father right now. I will tell him that his daughter has lost her mind and is living in a dump, and then I will call the estate management to come and see the state of this house. They have rules for hygiene in this estate, don't they?" Blessing turned pale. Her father was a strict old-school deacon in the church. If he saw her like this, he would disown her. And the estate management, they would fine us millions for the nuisance of the smell. For the first time in months, the pregnancy fog seemed to lift from Blessing's eyes. The threat of social ruin was stronger than her cravings. She looked at the filthy living room, then at her stained clothes, as if seeing them for the first time. I was just so tired, she whispered, her voice finally losing its aggressive edge. In the beginning, I really did feel sick, but then it was just easier not to care. I felt like if I stayed dirty, nobody would expect anything from me. I wouldn't have to be the perfect Blessing anymore. I just wanted to be still. My mother's expression softened, but only a little. She walked over and put a hand on Blessing's shoulder. Child, we all get tired. Being a woman is hard. Being a mother is harder. But you cannot find peace in filth. Dirt brings darkness, and you are bringing a life of light into this world. Now go. The water is running. Samuel, get the trash bags. Today, we are reclaiming this sanctuary. What followed was the most intense 12 hours of my life. My mother was a dictator. She made me throw away every single stained rug. She made me bag up every half-eaten container of food. We filled 24 large black trash bags. We scrubbed the walls with vinegar and lemon. We opened every window and let the Lagos breeze blow through the house, carrying away the ghosts of sardines and old eggs. Blessing stayed in the shower for nearly 2 hours. When she finally came out, she was wearing a clean cotton dress. Her hair was washed and tied back. She looked exhausted, but she looked like my wife again. She walked into the living room, which now smelled of lemon and bleach, and she started to cry. But these were not the manipulative tears from before. These were tears of relief.